It is ridiculous. What we're going to talk about today is enjoying a cuppa in the backyard, but apart from that, it's really a bit of an update, I suppose, on a couple of things. One is that sometime back I filmed the trailer plugs on this car here and on the trailer itself, which is over there, and I'll show you that in a moment. And then a bit like the light bulb that I was supposed to replace in the Volvo, it took quite some time to actually get to it. So I actually have no idea where that footage is gone, so I'm going to have to hunt through and see if I can find it, but also, of course, see what I said so that I don't end up saying the same thing. But potentially that's possible. I might just end up repeating myself. I found that footage, but let's first have a look at the Christmas Day storm aftermath. You saw the trailer and the damage to it, but it's fared surprisingly well, because most of the damage was taken by the cage, which you can see here, and I've taken that off, and it's really principally the two sides. The ladder rack has taken a bit of a hit there, but the ends, the actual gates which are there, are still surprisingly good. Now, the only real damage to the trailer itself, as in visible damage, is this bend here where when the cage came off, it came down. It also pushed down that guard. I pulled some of that out, so there's actually a gap underneath here now. But you can see that there's a twist in it. So this corner here, as the left front corner is down, but I did manage to salvage the tow bar off the Troopy, and that's now fitted to the Volvo. And there is a different connection, whether you can see it under there, which is the 7-pin flat, and the connection on this end of the trailer is the 7-pin round. What I did want to talk about was a couple of things just regarding health. And I spoke a long time back about some health issues that I had, and I was talking about the diagnosis of prostate cancer, and I had that treatment last year. But in order to have that treatment, I had to stop taking a particular drug that I was taking for a neuromuscular disorder that I have, because apparently that drug and the radiation treatment is antagonistic. Anyway, after the treatment, which is now a year ago, July last year, that it ended, we've been fiddling around with trying to manage that autoimmune disorder, and it's not been all that successful. So in other words, what happens is that I get those symptoms of muscle fatigue and tiredness and breathlessness, and you probably actually hear that in some of these videos, where I seem to be breathing heavily, and I am. The reality is that everything is a bit of an effort, so I do apologise for that heavy breathing, and I'm not telling you this to garner any sympathy. It's more a case of that all of us are visited by weaknesses, vulnerabilities, illnesses, disorders, conditions from time to time, and of course for those of us who are older, that time to time is a little more frequent. But look, that aside, let's have a look at these trailer plugs. And the issue was that everything that I had a 7-pin round. So the old Troopy, the Caravan, the trailer were all a 7-pin round trailer plug, and then with the loss of the Troopy, I had to rely on this car then to become the tow vehicle, and it had a 7-pin flat. And then the Ute, which is just over there, and I'll show you that one in a minute too, it has a 12-pin flat. Now the 7-pin flat will fit on it because it's arranged as 7 and then 5, so that it will fit. So I've got to change the trailer plug over to a 7-pin flat. Now, in order to check that they're going in the right place, I also wanted to check, first of all, on this car, that these are wired up as they should be, so that when we put that on, we don't indicate a right turn when we mean left, or turn on the lights and that indicates a left turn, or whatever it is. So let's have a look at that too, and that leads me to another point, and that is a multimeter which I've got there, and I'll go and grab that for you now. So this is what I'm talking about, and I bought this from memory from Dick Smith 40 years ago, so it'll be the early 80s, and it's lasted all of this time. And I'll show you what the problem is now. It's actually still the same battery, believe it or not, but the LCD screen has slowly melted, or whatever it is that it does. So now you can't even read it. Now this was made in China. And I'm often critical of Chinese-made goods because they tend to make things for a price rather than for quality, and you can see that with a lot of the stuff that you can buy, say for example in Bunnings, where everything's made in China, and a lot of it is fairly cheap rubbish. But that said, that's because to a large degree the consumer themselves have created that situation. Because if you have a look at this camera that I'm using at the moment, this Lumix S5, it's Chinese made as well, and it's a fantastic camera. And then I've got a DJI drone which is Chinese. Google Pixel phone, which is also Chinese. So they can make quality goods, but I think it's when they tend to make them to a particular specification. That in mind, though, you see, I've just gone and bought myself another Chinese multimeter, and also made in China. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but let's open this up. And if this lasts for another 40 years, I'll be about 150. So it's going to see me out. This is Vivor, and Vivor, I've got a couple of Vivor things, and they tend to make reasonable quality. Now, also for a reasonable price, so I actually have no idea how good this is going to be. But there she is there. And it's going to be hard to lose that in the workshop, being that bright orange. So that's the tool itself, or the meter. Batteries, crocodile clips, or alligator clips, I guess the Americans would call them, and a couple of different cables. Let's give it a try. You'll remember when I was doing this with the winch, and I couldn't figure out where the bloody batteries went, and I think this is going to be a similar situation. It's got this case that opens on the back, but it doesn't go anywhere, so I don't know what's going on here. There's a screw. That's got to be a secret. So let's figure this out. And if in doubt, read the instructions. Battery's done. There we go. The stop lights don't come on, but I had a bit of a look to try and trace the wiring, but it wasn't easy, so for now we're going to have to get by without them. But I think the problem is actually in the car, because when I checked them on the trailer, they worked. Job done. Thanks for watching.